So there are great video games out there. Some are just plain beautiful, while others started out good and turned great after an update. And then there are overrated video games. These are extremely hyped games that don't necessarily deserve the amount of hype they get. They might be entertaining, but they're not the pixelated miracles people have made them out to be. And with that said, here's my list of most overrated games that I think people have hyped them for no reason. But before starting off this video, let me tell you that your list or you may not agree with my opinion, and it's completely fine. And if you're new to this content, do subscribe our channel. And yeah, now let's start. So at first, it's the Grand Theft Auto series. So I completely respect the time and effort the developer put into the creation of GTA games. There's so much going on, especially the later entries, that attempting to comprehend the time, care and attention it would take to make it work boggles the mind. This series is a testament to power of gaming, and each entry shows what massive strides are being taken in the gaming's complexity. But at the same time, the old fuddy-duddy in me doesn't really see the point of the game. I remember playing these for the first time as an impersonable kid, where the attraction was the unrestrained violence and total freedom from lasting consequences. They were fun, but even with how young I was, I could see how many parents came to the conclusion that gaming would promote violence and their kids and their children may get violent behavior. However, back to the topic, there wasn't much in the way of story, at least not that I could tell, and I get more and more uncomfortable with GTA's gratuitous indulgence in sex and violence. Put in another way, I don't ever really hear any GTA games talked about in the same breath as games like BioShock, the God of War soft reboot, or any other Telltale games, where the story and the detailed world justify the violence. And yes, there are many better alternatives of GTA 2. For example, the Just Cause series, especially the second one and on. It leans fully into the cartoonish aspect of a sandbox game. If you have seen clips of people using grappling hooks to swinging sports cars into passing jets, it was likely in Just Cause. Though in this case, I will admit I don't really see much difference between GTA Online and Just Cause. Both seems like the same kind of unhinged. Next is Call of Duty after World at War. So if you look at the first half of the franchise up until World at War, what you'll find is a series of well-written, thoughtful, reasonably historically accurate war simulators. The series went out of its way to communicate the psychological stress of warfare as best it could while still adhering to a T rating. But apparently when everyone talked about how epic the games were, Activision's frat bro gland squirted extra hard and started pumping jingoistic messaging and explosions into the game. When they drop skyscrapers and avalanches and Russian invasions on you, they do it with all care and respect of a cat on the edge of a table. It's no longer about the human toll of war, it's about how big things go boom. Look at Call of Duty World War II, the game that was supposed to return the franchise to its roots. They had train crash that would fit better in a Fast and Furious movie and a D-Day landing, where someone asked what the big takeaway from the Normandy landings was, and the development team answered violence. It's truly disappointing turn for what was once solid, educational, respectable franchise, especially at a time when everyone's screaming about demographic representation in exactly these games. Call of Duty was one of the first to include extended storylines about African American and Polish tankers and tribal resistant groups in North Africa. But still, there are many games which are better alternatives of Call of Duty, like Hell Let Loose. It has a extremely faithful renderings of World War II battlefields and an absolutely punishing damage system that usually means you're downed in one shot. It relies on tactics and communication in placing of running and gunning, making for a slower paced but more rewarding fight. And the final game is Assassin's Creed After Revelations. Up to Revelations, the Assassin's Creed franchise was a sci-fi historical conspiracy mashup where you unravel the game's story as you piece together clues from the past to understand the present's conflict. It was intriguing, well constructed and kept me engaged. Beyond story, the games played well. The fighting and free running had tight responsive controls and did a good job conveying a sense of movement and agility. The settings felt alive, with people everywhere and crowds and guards reacting to your actions to at least the level the technology of the time would let them. Then Assassin's Creed 3 made everyone shrug off combat damage to the point where you had to shred an enemy like cheese just to get him to take a step back and collect himself. I took a break after that and came back to Odyssey, where I was horrified to learn what was once slower paced stealth game had turned into a hack and slash with damage counters. I'm back to ignoring the series, with the only exception being the cinematic trailers, which have retained the cool factor of the original few games. The best alternative for the Assassin's Creed series is the Tomb Raider rebooted series. It feels pretty close to the original Assassin's Creed, if not in stealthy gameplay then at least in premise. A young fairly native protagonist gets thrown into a conspiracy, and here you have guys, these are some of the most overrated games I think that don't deserve the praise they are getting right now. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my list? Do comment down below, and I will see you in the next one.